This video contains an in-depth discussion of two important topics for setting design criteria. First, we more fully discuss the term quantitative in quantitative design criteria. Second, we will discuss the importance of the user-designer-client triangle. We will start by talking about what quantitative means. Under the heading of quantitative design criteria, we explore three areas: common properties that are design criteria, units associated with these properties, and how to bound numerical values. This slide is a partial list of quantitative measures. These quantitative measures include number, volume, error of value, concentration, flow rate, power, voltage, repeatability, width, angle, frequency, heat, energy, capacitance, curvature, pressure, and precision. These quantitative measures are formed from the 7 base SI units, including temperature, time, length, mass, amount of a substance, luminous intensity, and current. Now, all of these have associated units in either the metric or the British system, and as a result, design criteria will have associated units as well. So design criteria are defined with a number or with a range of bounded values. So for example, your design criteria could be less than a value, such as cost is less than $100. Your design criteria could be defined as greater than a value, such as the force of failure for a device is greater than 1,000 newtons. Your design criteria could be defined between X and Y, such as you needed to develop a device that could measure angles between 50 and 75 degrees. The design criteria could be set to be exactly some value, such as the diameter must be 3/8 of an inch. And finally, you could define your design criteria to be within a percent, such as the concentration of glucose must be maintained within plus or minus 5%. When defining these design criteria, it's desirable, if you can, to select greater than, less than, between, or within, because this gives you, as the engineer, a little bit more flexibility in developing your device. When you set a design criteria to be exactly equal to a value, it really constrains the way you're able to design your device. Recall the user-designer-client triangle. Remember that as a designer, you may or may not be the primary user. Depending on the type of project you're working on, your user might be a child, a middle-aged adult, a college student, an elderly person with limited mobility, or an individual with a disability. In addition to thinking about who is the user for your device, it is also important to understand how the user will interact with or use your design. Remember, it is also important to talk with the client. This person has often thought carefully about the problem. These discussions are valuable because the design criteria that you set must be reasonable. You could always pick a number and even a unit, but unless that number is reasonable and meets a need, then it is arbitrary and somewhat useless. Consider portable as a design criteria for a device made for teenagers. It's important to talk with the potential users, in this case teenagers. In those conversations, you might discover that most teenagers carry devices in their pockets. With this information, you can take measurements of the front and back pockets to determine a reasonable quantitative number for the size of your device. In summary, design criteria are stated with a number, often with an associated unit. The numbers for design criteria are bounded, typically greater than or less than, or occasionally equal to. Design criteria are informed by conversations with the client and potential users. Design criteria should be reasonable. Establishing quantitative, reasonable design criteria is an important aspect of engineering practice.